right is Nico Muller. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, the fourth Audi that is out. Nico, I guess Timo Scheider slammed into you, and that's why your race is over?
Yeah, I think he got pushed by Robert Wickens as far as I've seen, and yeah, obviously I was the next car ahead, and he couldn't avoid the accident, and in the end my steering broke, so I couldn't continue. And a big pity, because I think I was leading the standard race, so there was lots possible. Car felt pretty good, so yeah, sorry to the team and to Audi. I think it's yeah, the worst possible case to lose two cars in an incident which none of us could really avoid.
Absolutely, big shame. Thank you very much, Nico, and back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Verena. Just while we were listening to that, you would have seen on screen the very first person into the pit lane.
Interesting, Augusto Farfus did 19 laps on that set of option tyres. Now, okay, his will not be in a good way, because he had his foot on the brake while he was being shovelled out of the way by Jamie Green. So whether that's tyre degradation or whether it's that they're all flat-spotted and it was just becoming undrivable is harder to gauge. We need to see if anybody else bails for the pits at the end of the next lap to really see whether the option tyres are losing their edge earlier. Because certainly, ordinarily, we would never say you would run those for as long as you possibly could, wouldn't you? Yeah. So unless he's picked up a flat spot somewhere and he just get onto a new set of tyres, the race is compromised anyway, make the best of it. It could be that, because I'm not seeing anybody else diving for the pit lane. I'm not seeing any other teams getting ready as yet for a tyre change. We're expecting them in after 24 laps, which is the maximum you can run on the option tyre. So, to recap, as you can see at the left of your screen in the graphics, Wittmann leads by some 3.6 seconds over Mike Rockenfeller, the 2013 champion. Effort made there, Spengler up the inside, trying to find a way through. This is Spengler on Wickens. It's Mercedes versus BMW. Very odd to think about Bruno Spengler only being 12, but remember how he went on the option tyre in the second stint in Hungary, for example, and hustled it through the pack for the podium. At the moment, though, he's not only stuck on the tail of Wickens, he's also being attacked by Pascal Wehrlein, isn't he? He's right in the middle of the Mercedes duo there, isn't he? Right, interestingly, Junqueira comes in and Martin comes in, and that is at the end of, for them, 21 laps. So maybe the option tyres are starting to lose their edge. That is interesting now, because that's going to throw something else in to the final few laps of the race. So Martin, we see, parks up first of all. Also in comes Jamie Green. Martin on his way out. You can see the yellow option tyres being wheeled away. There is Danny Juncadella. Here's Scott done and dusted, and here comes Jamie Green. Okay, Juncadella stayed ahead of Martin, so he's maintained track position. Jamie Green in. His car, we know, is a little bit battered anyway after its two incidents, one with Molina, one big incident with Farfus. But what this means is, seemingly, that the option tyre, while it has an advantage, it won't last for the full 24 laps. Certainly not on every car. Jamie Green back into the race. And so where does this put Martin Tomczyk relative to everybody else? Because, of course, Tomczyk was the leader on the prime tyre. But now, you see Wittmann is doing laps in the 25s. Rockenfeller is in the high 24s. So what we're looking at is about 19 laps before your tyres lose their edge. And in comes the leader. So race leader Marco Wittmann comes in. So David calling it then that those option tyres are losing their edge, and drivers coming in perhaps earlier than we would have expected, and Marco Wittmann is one of them. So what's now going to be interesting is to see whether the teams give the call to those drivers that are on the primes to say stay out, because you can't do 24 laps on the option tyre. You can do 20, so stay out on the harder tyre for a bit longer. You don't have to use it for 24 laps, it's the maximum you can use. If it won't do 24 laps, then the reason there's a limit on it is because it's theoretically quicker, and they don't want people to run it for the whole race. But if it's not working for the full 24 laps, you wouldn't use it for the full 24 laps, if you're with me. Torres is in as well. He too has done 22 laps. But it does look as though, and this is pretty unusual in the championship this year, we've got tyre degradation being a factor. Yes. And Christian Vittoris back out again. So nominally now, Mike Rockenfeller is the leader, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. Adrian Tombay and Pascal Wehrlein there together. Bruno Spengler ahead of Pascal Wehrlein. Adrian Tombay is P13 at the moment.
Rockenfeller in. He's gone 23 laps, and I wonder whether Mortara will follow him.
That looked like...
It is, yes.
And DeResta.
Indeed so. So 23 laps. Again, they're not going quite to the full extreme, are they?
So we're on board with Mike Rockenfeller as he approaches his garage.
Need to see where he will blend back in. 26 seconds you're looking at for the whole pit stop. Only at rest for 3. He will stay ahead of DeResta, making his way down the pit lane now to the team. Mortara will stay ahead of the Mercedes as well. But Marco Wittmann there goes back ahead of Rockenfeller, so he maintains track position. He maintains the lead. Rockenfeller will stay ahead of Mortara. DeResta will just get out ahead of Junqueira, and Maxime Martin will still run in 6th place. So the order is the same.
Yes.
What we now need to see is when those cars that switch onto the option tyre start to make progress. We've not yet had anybody do it the other way, have we?
No.
We've had everybody go option to prime. We've not yet had prime to option. Now we need to see whether the gap between Rockenfeller, or now Wittmann, and Tomczyk comes down with them on the same tyre. This is Tomczyk with Jamie Green, and this is for 8th and 9th places. Green up the inside, he's on fresher prime tyres, and through he goes.
So Jamie Green getting past Martin Tomczyk there, as you've indicated. Jamie Green is on the fresher prime rubber, isn't he? And goes through and, well, immediately builds up a little bit of a margin.
I mean, the one thing you have to factor into all of this, as you look at the replay, is that Martin Tomczyk was only on the 9th row of the grid. He was 17th fastest in qualifying. So when we talk about his lap times against Wittmann, you are comparing the car that was on pole to the car that was 17th. That in itself distorts things a little bit. So there's no reason why Tomczyk should be running up there in that leading group, because he did struggle in qualifying. The leader goes through, and it's 2.6 seconds over Mike Rockenfeller, and what that therefore means is the gap has come down compared to what it was before the stops.
There is Paul DeResta, who is running P4 at the moment, with Eduardo Mortara ahead of him. And behind Paul DeResta it is Danny Juncadella. Then it's Maxime Martin, Christian Vitoris. So there is Danny Juncadella then. Had a good time of it in qualifying for Mercedes. Still in that Mercedes sandwich is the BMW Bank car of Bruno Spengler. Robert Wickens ahead, Pascal Wehrlein behind him, and Adrian Tombe behind Pascal Wehrlein. Tombe in P13 at the moment, Bruno Spengler P11, Robert Wickens P10.
So Tomczyk still leading that battle of those on the prime tyre. He is now 28 seconds behind Wittmann, plus 26 for a pit stop. So then it suddenly becomes a big gap, doesn't it? Yes.
Yes, because he will switch to the quicker tyres, but to narrow that gap, it's going to be a big ask over the laps that he can run that.
He'll gain places, but he won't get the lead, that's for sure, because you're asking him to make up over half a lap, really.
Yeah.
And that ain't going to happen. As you look at Spengler here, still defending from Wehrlein, coming through the chicane. Adrian Tombe is next up. And into the pits now comes Wehrlein. Into the pits comes Tombe. Right, these are the people going onto the option tyre. Also in, look behind, you can see Antonio Felix da Costa and Joey Hand as well. Now we have the incident between Farfus and Green being reported to the stewards, so that may well end up being adjudicated on post-race. Remember that Pascal Wehrlein, who has just come into the pit lane, had a 3-place grid drop carried over from Spielberg. It could be that a penalty is applied going to Lausitzring. Felix da Costa is on his way. Then Antonio Felix da Costa. In comes Wehrlein. And look at that! Tombe, is it? No, it's Joey Hand being released down the pit lane. And he gives way. Oh, interesting. He was ahead and then lifted. And I wasn't convinced that you went to overtake like that in the pit lane, so let's just see what develops out of all of that. It was Antonio Felix da Costa getting ahead of Joey Hand, and he came in behind Joey Hand, didn't he? So there you'd had a place reversal in the pit lane with the cars moving. Shall we have another look?
Yes. Here is the replay. There's Antonio Felix da Costa.
There's Joey Hand. And Joey Hand is ahead. No question he is ahead. And he lifts. Number 4 is under investigation straight away. Joey Hand is under investigation. That's what it says on the timing screen, no more, no less. Car 4, under investigation. In has just come Martin Tomczyk. There you can see him. In has just come Robert Wickens in the Mercedes. You can see him in the background. Wittmann is leading by 2.6 seconds over Rockenfeller. He edged away slightly last time. Tomczyk is on the move. Glock is in as well. And Adrian Tombe has just done the best middle sector of anybody in the race now that he's on the option tyre.
Lap 26 of 49, we see an Augusto Farfus go through. Comes Wickens. So Joey Hand, the car just in picture there, under investigation. Here comes Timo Glock.
Tombe is flying. He's just done 2 absolute bests in the second and third sectors on his first flying lap on the option tyre. It shows what a difference it makes. Just wonder whether there's anything to do with the ambient temperature now that is, as we've got later in the day, just helping the option tyres slightly better than it did early on. It's hard to gauge when you're stuck inside a comm box, I'll tell you, but for the moment, Adrian Tombe has just lit up the timing screen. Marco Wittmann still looks good up front. Mike Rockenfeller is 2.7 seconds back. It's a real cat and mouse battle between these two. One lap it'll come down by a tenth, then it stretches by a tenth or so. It's very hard to read any real pattern into it.
So there you can see in graphics over the last 3 laps the difference between Marco Wittmann and Mike Rockenfeller, or the gap between them. And Marco Wittmann doing everything exactly as he should. Each and every lap is clean, concise. In comes Bruno Spengler, in comes Gary Paffett now. So the options go on to the car of Bruno Spengler.
So 27 laps they had done on those harder tyre, which means that they don't have to run the option for quite as long if there is this fear of degradation. So there is Spengler, who is going to join in behind Adrian Tombe, who in turn is behind Joey Hand. So Spengler has dropped down the order as a consequence of that, because of course those that went onto the option tyre earlier have leapfrogged him inevitably. So that was the wrong call at the moment. It might be.
It might come good, because of course he's on fresher.
Precisely, yeah, and he's got an extra bit of life in them, hasn't he, by going onto them later. So it could all balance out towards the end.
Well, only time will tell. We're watching from our heli then, Augusto Farfus.
Now Tomczyk behind, remember, is on the option. And so Martin Tomczyk now is the first driver who is on, in the classification, who is on the option tyre, but he's 55.5 seconds behind Marco Wittmann. He needs a safety car. He will gain places. He's about to gain one here off Farfus, but he ain't going to win the race unless something happens to bunch them all up.
So, into the points goes Tomczyk then, into P10, gets past Augusto Farfus, and Martin Tomczyk now on those option tyres. As you say, some 55 seconds behind the race leader, is going to need some assistance, isn't he? Well, there he didn't find any resistance, and of course he wouldn't to get past Augusto Farfus. It's on the quicker tyres. There is our race leader.
But also, just looking at the timing screen, Antonio Felix da Costa, absolute best middle sector. Timo Glock, absolute best first sector. Yes, you would expect these cars to be going quicker because they are on the option tyre, but these are cars that didn't sparkle in qualifying. And suddenly, in the second half of the race, they're doing better sector times than the race leader did on the same tyre in a quicker car in the first stint.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. There is Mike Rockenfeller, who is 3.1. It's kind of, Marco Wittmann is doing a great job, isn't he?
He's measuring that gap. He's pegging it back all the while. And every time Rockenfeller gets a little bit closer, it seems that Wittmann can just squeeze something out, another couple of tenths, run it off again.
Just at the beginning of the race, we were saying how little support Marco Wittmann had around him in terms of other BMWs that had qualified as well as him, and that Audi was so very strong. Well, of course, we've seen them dropping like stones, haven't we?
Yeah. And he's still up there as the only BMW.
Yes.
Maxime Martin is there 6th. And significantly, of course, these are the 2 RMG-run BMWs, humbling the Schnitzers or the RBM cars, for example. Now, what have you got here? You've got Petrov versus Tomczyk. And this is for 9th place. This is prime tyre Petrov, option tyre Tomczyk, former champion. Over the line they come. And Martin Tomczyk now should be able to find a way